Hello everyone. Welcome to the May online chapter meeting of the Building Designers Association of Australia. My name is Jennifer Binns and I'm a building designer based in Tasmania. I'm your host for the online chapter meetings and I'm joined by Sarah Jane managing technology in the background. Thank you, Sarah Jane. Post a message in the chat box and let us know where you're logging in from. It's great to see so many of you joining us again. Today we have two fantastic speakers, Niall Galvin from Fisher & Paykel and our own Cara Jex from the National Design Awards team. So welcome also to Niall and Cara. Before we get started with the presentations, just a quick run through of the Zoom tools. You're welcome to ask questions throughout the meeting using the Q&A box, and our presenters will answer the questions either throughout the presentation if they're able to or at the end. The Q&A feature has been changed to allow people to upvote topics, so we can hopefully get through more questions within our hour time frame. If you'd like to ask a question via audio, there's a raise your hand tool, and we just ask that you check there's no background noise that will interfere with the audio when we unmute you. The chat box is there as a continuous message thread for comments, and Sarah Jane will also post links in the chat box. So it's great to see some of you messaging in there. Welcome. So first up, we have Niall Galvin and his associate Kathy Perry. Niall is the Design Development Manager for Fisher & Paykel in Victoria, and his role is to engage with the design community on collaborations and customer insights. Originally from Ireland, Niall trained as a furniture designer before moving into kitchen design and has been actively involved in the kitchen sector for the past 20 years. In this session, Niall will present how Fisher & Paykel are seeing the trend of integration in the kitchen move from boutique through to mainstream. We'll look at how you can design with integration in mind, the benefits of integration, consideration when integrating appliances, and case studies highlighting what is achieved. Niall will also share a new professional platform where designers can gain access to installation manuals and CAD files. So welcome, Niall. Have I got you online?
Yes, you do. Thank you so much, Jennifer. And thank you for inviting me along.
It's wonderful to have you with us. I'm going to hand over to you.
Thank you so much. So, there we go. So, thank you so much for that introduction, Jennifer. Fisher & Paykel is proudly designed in New Zealand, and New Zealand it's a core part of who we are as a company. Obviously, it's a very beautiful, rugged country. It's also quite isolated. And this isolation has really led to a pioneering spirit and a culture of curiosity. And that's carried across all the way through all of our products and the way in which we develop our products and the global view in which we have as a company. So today you've got an Irish person in Australia talking about a New Zealand brand, but it really does talk to experiences that we're looking to create. And it's really that sort of curiosity which has inspired our company goal, which is to be the world's most human-centered appliance brand. So part of that curiosity and understanding how people use their kitchens and how they live their lives, we work very closely with the architectural and design communities around the world. So for example, here in Australia, each year we do a workshop called the Future Design Workshop, where we bring a number of our product engineers and product designers from Auckland and Dunedin across to Sydney. And we sit down with designers and engage with them to understand what are their pain points, what are their expectations, and really quite a collaborative approach. And that approach has really informed a lot of our products that we will see today. So for us, we strongly believe in kitchen perfection, and that's really about sort of turning routines into rituals. So for example, whether that be a quick meal with the family during the week, or whether that is entertaining with families and friends on the weekend. So for us, kitchen perfection is a framework which underpins our products and our services. And to make that up, we have 5 design pillars. So the first one is perfect results. So we are very much results-driven organization. So whether that be the fabrics that are coming out of your laundry products through to the sizzle on your induction cooktop, it's very much results-driven. The second of our pillars is in around design to fit. So that is really making sure that we've got a coherent range so that when you mix and match and put together your suite of products, that works from an aesthetic and design point of view, but also from a practical point of view as well, and that they work together seamlessly. Beautiful to use. I mean, when we think about the kitchen space, and particularly appliances, they're incredibly tactile. We're using them or operating them, opening and closing drawers all the time. So it's really important the look, not just the look, but also the feel of the products is right. So we put a lot of time and effort into that. We've even got a sensory designer as part of our team who works on a lot of those details, even through to how things sound as well. Built to last for us, I mean, obviously the design is super important, making sure that we've got designs for the future, that you're going to get longevity out of that, but also making sure that the engineering is of absolutely top drawer, and also the finishes and the materiality, and so that you're going to get longevity. And that talks really to our final pillar, which is gentle on the planet. So obviously the longer that your appliances last, the more sustainable they are. But for us, we've seen over the last 10 years, we've seen energy improvements across some of our ranges from anywhere to 30 to 50%. We've seen increased water sustainability, water consumption. We have seen right across the range, but it's not just in terms of the product. We are also looking to how we can improve our packaging to remove styrofoam, and it's ongoing. I don't think it's something that we're ever going to say we've arrived. It's something that we're always going to keep striving to do. So for us, kitchen perfection is really about sort of triangulating performance, design, and style. And so I'll take you through each of those, which is Ultimate Kitchen Solutions, Design Freedom, and Beauty of Choice. So for us, Ultimate Kitchen Solutions is going to talk to the performance aspect. And so the concept is about bringing together suites of products so that you can achieve the people are going to have lots of different requirements in their kitchen, multifunctional tasks. And so the different suites of products and bringing them and combining them together and how we can resolve their requirements. When we look at product series, this just gives a bit of an understanding of the choice of performance and design. So whether we talk to series 11, which is our highest standards for performance, materials, quality and design experiences, all the way through to series 5, which is the best balance of features, quality and price. But for us, we really want to move the performance conversation away from features and focus much more on functionality. So what I mean by that is sometimes by just increasing the number of functions on a product, it doesn't actually always increase the functionality. So we like to think about how do people cook, and what are their expectations, what are they trying to achieve. So it's a much more human-centered approach. And so there's 2 different ways in which in the cooking space that you can add functionality. The first one is by combining products. So for example, combining convection oven and steam, and you end up with, on the top left of the matrix that we're looking at here, we've got a combi steam oven. And the second is by adding more products and increasing that sort of flexibility. So by understanding the client's cooking needs, it just gives us a more nuanced approach in being able to solve that solution. So whether that be steam plus microwave or convection plus coffee. So it's mixing and matching to allow that sort of ultimate flexibility. So here's a couple of examples where we have cooking solutions. So whether on the right-hand side, for example, we've got 2 convection ovens, all the way through to we've got convection ovens plus steam plus coffee machine. So it's again, it's that choice that we're giving clients. In refrigeration, we think much more about zones. And so sometimes that's within a product itself. So for example, in the top left-hand corner, we have our cool drawer. And so that is a single zone, but it's also flexible. So you can have it set to either pantry mode or to chill mode. Another example of that would be in the middle, our quad door fridge freezer. The bottom right-hand corner, the bottom quadrant of all of our new range can be converted either from refrigeration or to freezer. So, you know, we can think of situations whereby, for example, somebody might be having a party or people coming over and you want to turn that quadrant from freezer into fridge space, but it's giving people that flexibility. I know, for example, last year, a lot of people were looking for more freezer space at the early stages of last year. And so again, it's giving people that flexibility within their appliance because your lives can change and your expectations can change. But we can also look at having multiple appliances. I mean, the ultimate in variable zones is our column refrigeration. So you can have up to 6 different zones, all of which are adaptable and changeable to really suit your lifestyle and also to get the best results out of the longevity of your food or your wine for that matter. So here's just a few examples of refrigeration solutions and how that might look, whether that's here we've got an example of Ollie Booth, who's an architect we work with over in New Zealand, and he's got a separate area. So he's got his fridge and his freezer next to the kitchen space and then a separate bar area. So that's quite a common setup that we see, splitting the designs through to whether you have multiple integrated wine cabinets. So today I'm going to probably focus most on design freedom, but before I jump into that, I might ask a very quick poll, if that's all right with everybody. And it's really just in and around, do you work with integrated appliances as standard? So I think that just gives us a really good feedback about the market and where we are. And for us, talking about design freedom, it is, for us, it's really about being able to express your design vision. And so, for example, here we've got refrigeration combinations. So obviously earlier we were talking about performance, the combination of appliances from a performance point of view, but also we look at the combination of appliances from a design point of view. So again, giving that adaptability, we've got a huge selection of different sizes and styles of integrated refrigeration, to pick one area. And again, that's going to be because we have to take into consideration the spaces that you're working in. So an apartment space is going to have very different requirements to someone's holiday house or a home. So again, it's giving that flexibility and choice. This on the left is one of our cool drawers. And here again, this is just showing some cooking combinations. So whether you have a space for a bank of 4 or whether you want to stack your ovens one on top of the other, that modular sort of system allows for that mixing and matching to get your ultimate kitchen design. In terms of dishwashing, we've got on the left-hand side, these are our single dish drawers. So this is a really nice setup if you have the space for it. So one either side of your sink. So from an ergonomical point of view, it's very handy. The drawer is up high, pull the drawer straight out, very easy to access. Where you don't have that space, we have a double dish drawer, one on top of the other, which you can see here. So again, you're getting the benefit of the two dish drawers, but saving on space. And we also do integrated dishwashers. Again, they can be set into your kitchen or into your scullery. So when we talk about distributed appliances, that's just about understanding the pattern of use and how people are going to use their space. You know, an example would be I'm redoing my own kitchen later this year. And I very much want to have a cool drawer on the far side of the island so as the kids don't come into the kitchen when I'm working there, because that's a nightmare. I can never work when the kids are running around. So it's really just, again, giving the tools so that you can understand the space and the layout. When we talk about design, the integration options, we have three different styles. So we have integrated. So integrated is sitting in behind custom panels. It's totally hidden from view, and it's small gaps. So some of our refrigeration is down to 4mm gaps around it. When we look at built-in, we're talking about small gaps around the appliance, but it's very obviously a fridge, and it's using stainless steel doors and matching handles. And then we have the more traditional, which would be freestanding, which is slightly larger gaps around the refrigeration to allow for ventilation. So in terms of integrated, here's just a few different examples within our dish drawer range of some detailing that we've seen on some projects which we've worked. So on the left-hand side, some really nice negative handle detailing. They've recessed that into the panel in front of the dish drawer. Through to, here's a project in Brooklyn and States where they've done false panels to make it look like it's two drawers. Sarah Wolfendale here in Melbourne did a really nice project where the dish drawer was suspended, so it was sort of floating. And here's an example which we're seeing more and more prevalence is with this push to open. So I think I've seen Hetic and Blum in the market, but there may be more. But I think that's going to become more and more obvious in the marketplace. In terms of the column refrigeration, again, so it's designed so as you can run your own kicker underneath, so you don't see the grill, which is sort of the expectation here in the Australian market. But we've also seen examples where people have extended the door beyond the fridge door to reduce the amount of lines in the kitchen space. Again, you really just need to make sure that you're working to the weight limits of the actual door hinges within that. Wine cabinets, again, lots of different installation styles, whether you go for stainless steel and or the integrated handles. Cool drawers is really interesting. We've seen these going into hotel rooms. I really like the application here by Carol Whiting, where it's in a freestanding piece of furniture in somebody's living room. So if somebody's very lazy like myself and doesn't want to have to walk too far to grab a drink, it's a really nice solution. But you can see it here on the right-hand side. This is actually tucked under a bank of tall units. So again, really flexible appliance. And we often see it complementing a set of other refrigeration in a kitchen setup. So the beauty of choice, that really talks about the style. And so for us, yes, we want to talk about the different types of products, but we also want to give a portfolio of different styles to suit different types of kitchens and what that is. So we have 4 different styles of Fisher & Paykel. So minimal is probably the most popular amongst the design community. It is very sort of singular aesthetic, very minimalist. It's black on black. It's probably the closest that you get to integrated in an oven range. And it works with a lot of different finishes. Obviously the black, it just disappears, but also it works with whether it be painted finishes or timbers. So some beautiful examples here, recent project by Landy Architecture here in Melbourne. So it's a really fantastic aesthetic. And also from this sort of minimalist look, this is our TFT ovens. So you've got a touch screen and then you've also got a dial. So there, it's actually showing the menus. So we've got preset menus built in to the appliance just to really make things easy for people. So you can scroll through, pick your menu, and the oven does all the thinking. And I mean, in terms of technology, it's not something that I'm really focusing on today, but it is something that we are embracing across all of our product ranges, whether that be ovens or laundry, and bringing in more and more active intelligence into our appliances. Contemporary is still modern, very clean lines. It's probably a little bit more expressive. We've got stainless steel elements, stainless steel trims and handles. And contemporary is probably our biggest range of appliances, sits within contemporary. Professional is designed for the US market. It's big, it's bold, it's everything you'd expect to see in the States. And it is something that we are considering bringing across to the Australian market. So we've had some feedback that there is demand for it. But yeah, it's a bit of a wait and see at the moment, but yeah, you can tell it is very much US orientated. And our last style is classic. So classic is still relatively new to Fisher & Paykel, but we've had a huge response since bringing it to market. And although it's got a very classical look, it is still using very much modern technology in terms of the way in which the ovens are constructed and the heat generation in the ovens. But also we offer both gas cooktop or induction cooktop. Even nice little details like in the top of the range product, the TFT clock also is a control panel, and you can even have the bottom section here as a warming drawer. Interesting enough, we also see that it can go into sort of modern and contemporary kitchens, and that can create quite an interesting style and aesthetic as well. So although it is a more traditional style, I think that can really work as well. So lastly, I'd just like to very briefly touch on our trade resources platform. So what that is we have been working very hard on improving all of the tools available to architects and designers. And we're releasing a whole lot of new CAD, ArchiCAD, Rivet content on our website, as well as new installation manuals and tech guides. We're going to make it all open source. It's very easy. You don't need to register, and that's going to be going live in about 6 weeks' time. There's some really, really good data on there, and hopefully that will assist in saving people time when working with Fisher & Paykel. So I'd just like to say thank you very much for your time, and yeah, happy to answer any questions people may have.
Thanks, Niall. That's great. There's some few questions coming through. Kathy, are you going to some of those questions, or would you like me to out?
I'm in the process of answering some now, so I can continue that, but you can read whatever you like, so I can continue to give.
Sure. I'm just wondering whether you want to.
I'm just going to email them to Kathy anyway, so.
I'll just read out a couple if I said might be of interest.
Yeah.
Aaron Lehman-Smith has asked, can you advise how the energy efficiency of these appliances is progressing along with the design evolution?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are seeing, so for example, our latest heat pump dryer is now 10 stars. So if you imagine, you know, dryers only a couple of years ago, you were talking about 2-star energy. to move to 10-star is quite phenomenal. So we're constantly trying to improve the energy efficiency of appliances. We're also seeing a sort of a big switch, didn't really touch on it too much there, but we're seeing a big switch from gas to induction cooktops as well, across all different sort of project types, whether that be single residence, but also in that sort of multi-res space as well.
Right. So there's a couple, I mean, Kathy's already answered these questions. I'm not sure whether everybody can see the responses or not, so I'm going to read a couple of them out before we move on to our next presentation. Christian Jones has asked, does the appliance have a way to communicate with each other, i.e. connected through a Wi-Fi network, so you can have a collaborative appliances?
That's a really good question. So all of our appliances are coming, or all of our premium appliances are coming with Wi-Fi. And we had developed our own application at Fisher & Paykel, but we work closely with GE, who are a sister company of ours, General Electric Appliances in the States, and they were taking on board their technology. And we're working, it's a project that we're working on so that we'll be able to have VoIP and some other applications. So it's going to start with some quite easy solutions in terms of just getting a reminder when your laundry is done, through to, we've got really some quite big goals in that space. And there's a whole lot of areas in which we can look for improvement, whether that's downloading menus through to your oven. So yeah, it's something that we're sort of, the appliances are coming ready, and we're just working on finalizing the app at the moment.
Great. What other questions am I going to read out? There's a few questions about specific products, which I think probably have just been directed to the website. So there was a question there about BIM, the availability of BIM models for each appliance.
Yeah, so we have, that's coming probably in about 4 to 6 weeks time. We're going to be launching all the new content. I have a separate presentation, but I won't take you through all of that. But it is, we've worked very hard in making sure that we have really accurate and really useful content. So I think people are going to be really quite surprised when they see that coming on board.
Right. Thank you, Niall. I'll move on to the next presentation. That was really informative. Thank you. And still a few questions there that Kathy's working through answering. So we'll just leave the Q&A box open. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Jennifer.
So the next presentation is Cara Jex, who's going to update us on the National Design Awards. Cara is a building designer who recently relocated to Perth, and we had the pleasure of seeing Cara host last year's Design Awards, which were held online. So today, Cara is back, and with so many new members, and as a refresher for existing members who haven't submitted a design award previously, Cara is going to walk us through the process. She'll discuss the upcoming awards, changes in the awards program, and the process for creating an account on the Design Awards platform with a live working demonstration. And she's also going to clarify the Design Award categories and answer any questions regarding this year's awards program. Have we got you online, Cara?
Yes, I'm here. Thanks, Jennifer.
Hello, welcome.
Thank you.
I'm going to hand over to you.
Great, thank you. Hi, everyone. I think I just need to share screen as well. I just need to work out how to do that. Might be a moment. Sorry, SJ, I might need a bit of a hand with my screen share. Oh, here we go. Found it. Okay. All right. Can everyone see that the National Design Awards?
Yes, perfect.
Fantastic. All right. Yeah, so it's an exciting time of year. As the awards opened last month, and there's just under 6 weeks to go. They close on the 13th of June, which is a Sunday, so you'll have some last minute time over that last weekend for submissions. But we're here to hopefully get everyone motivated to start early. You know, awards are great for, they're great to enter. There's a lot of benefits. I think probably most of you are aware of those benefits, but they're a great opportunity to market your business and showcase your work, as well as celebrate the work that's coming out of our industry. And I'd say if you know someone who is producing great work and might need a little bit of encouragement or a prompt, you know, to perhaps enter some of their work and show off what they're doing, then perhaps you can be that encouragement for them, if not you. All of our winners are published in the Winning Design magazine each year, and that goes out and is retailed in news agencies across Australia, as well as being distributed across the industry. And anyone who follows the BDAA member account, either on Facebook or Instagram, would see some of the amazing promoting work that SJ does, which is not just the winning awards, but outstanding work of entrants across the board. So, you know, there's a great opportunity to have your work showcased, and you know, you go to the effort of creating award submissions, and there's a lot that can come out of that for you to use and repurpose, either for you know, for yourself in your own social channels or website, or however you might be promoting your business. But we did go through, just to give you a bit of a run through, each year we kind of look back at how the awards ran, and you know, make sure that we are reviewing the processes and making sure we're running the best awards program possible, and that it's a program that's really meaningful and has a lot of integrity with it as well. And so we assembled the Management Council assembled a review panel, an independent review panel, and off of that, the feedback that came back and suggestions, recommendations, there have been a couple of tweaks to how the awards will be running this year, or the categories available this year. Anyway, I thought I would take you through some of those changes so that there's no surprises. And then after those changes, I'll take you onto the awards platform, so you can just have a look at what's involved, so that you know ahead of time, if you haven't submitted an award, what that process is, and how much time you should set aside, which, if you're organised, doesn't have to be very much. But it can come as a surprise to people, I think, if they leave it to the last minute. So just sorry, got to go back. So this year there are 31 categories, 32 actually. I have to update that because we've had an additional student category added, but 32 categories this year, including 2 new categories, which also recognise the work of accredited thermal assessors. The awards are open to BDAA members that hold chartered membership, full membership, and student membership. And so the tweaks to the categories. So this year there's 6 categories for new residential buildings, which I think is the same number as last year, but these are now going to be based on project cost only. So the cost per square metre has been removed, and it's just total project cost. And the same applies for residential alterations and additions, which will also be grouped by cost. Multi-residential has been split into 2 categories. So the first category is for up to 3 stories, and the second category is for multi-residential over 3 stories. And I should add that dual occupancy has now been merged into that category, and into the category of multi-residential up to 3 stories. So if you are planning on submitting a dual occupancy entry, that's where it'll go this year. For the student design category, we have tweaked that as well. So this year, students will have the opportunity to follow two routes. The first is responding to a common design brief. So the awards panel will provide that brief to students, which they can respond to, and you know, they'll all be responding to exactly the same brief and showing their individual creativity through that. And the other opportunity for students is through an open category where they can submit documentation for a project of their choosing that they have been working on. So usually that's through their studies, or it can be independently produced. Just some clarification on the unbuilt work category, because this often raises questions for people. So just to avoid confusion this year, this category is for conceptual designs. So it's not intended for projects that might be part of a future planning or building application. They tend to be they are projects that won't ever be constructed. There is more information about that category in the eligibility criteria, which I will take you through shortly when we do the run through. And if there's any questions, the panel we're always here to answer them as well. So a couple of new categories this year, which I will talk through. So the first is a livable housing design category, and that is open to residential projects. And it's been developed to recognise excellence in accessible or adaptable housing. There's a Thermal Design Excellence Award, and this is open to ABSA accredited assessors. There's no restriction on the type of project, but it must demonstrate evidence of thermal performance improvement to the original design concept. There is also a Collaboration Award, which is also open to ABSA accredited thermal assessors, and this award is where there's been a partnership between an ABSA member and a chartered or full member of the BDAA, and it recognises both parties working collaboratively to achieve exceptional thermal performance design, outcome. So either party can nominate for that award and pay the entry fee, and the other party should enter their details as the collaborator. And for the winning entry, both parties are recognised and a trophy is provided to both parties. And lastly, we've had a couple of additions to our industry partner awards. So this year, you can also select Cementel and Innovative Timber Ideas from the eligibility list for industry partner products. So if you are working with either of those, do consider including those. Your industry partner awards, there's no additional cost to enter them, so they're a great opportunity as well. And the last thing, there's been marginal changes to fees. We didn't put them up, or they didn't change last year with the environment we're in, but those fees are $55 for student design, $165 for small scale projects, unbuilt work, kitchen and bathroom and landscape design, and all other categories are $275. So that's all outlined when you log in and go to complete your entry as well. I just thought I'd run through a couple of tips that kind of will put you in the best position to showcase, to communicate your work the best way possible to judges. So first of all, make sure you address all of the criteria. Don't skip one because you're running out of time, or because you're not sure what to put. Fill it all out, but the more succinct, the better. If you need to write in bullet points, that's acceptable. But the most important thing is demonstrating how the solution meets the brief. And also just explaining your design decisions. They're not always obvious to the judging panel. So if there is something that you've made a real decision to do differently, do include reasoning for that. The awards are anonymous, and so it's important that if you're submitting documentation, that you're removing names, business names, names of collaborating parties from the documentation. There are sections in the form that you do need to include your details, but that information is not available for judges to see. So yeah, please take the time to do that. Photos are important, so you can submit up to 20. Try to get photos as high quality as possible that really showcase your work in its finished form. Some projects might be eligible for more than one category. So just have a look and make sure that you're considering your options and working out the best category for that award or for that entry. You can submit one project in more than one category if it's relevant. And when you do enter them, make sure you read the conditions and make sure that you're meeting the criteria. So some obvious things, but I think are worth mentioning. The entrant has to be the primary author and coordinator of the project. Awards are open to full members and chartered members only, as well as students, and for the ABSA relevant awards, ABSA members. The project completion date must be within the last 5 years. And I'll run you through I'll show you where to get the eligibility criteria in the platform, so you can double check anything that's not clear. As I mentioned, leave yourself enough time. The process actually isn't lengthy, but it can be if you haven't got all your documentation together and you need to have a look for anything in particular, or gain approvals, or missing a photo. The platform is really easy to use and pretty self-explanatory, but I would recommend, if you're thinking about entering, log in early and sign up for an account and just flick through it and set yourself up a Word document and work through your questions on a Word document and copy and paste. It's pretty safe, it's pretty, foolproof, and it does save as you go, but there's nothing worse than, there being an unforeseen glitch and losing time that you've invested in filling that out. So it's not the way you have to do it, but it's a good way to just manage that. And then you've also got a document that you can go through and take information from if you're using it in your own marketing or social channels separately. I think, let's see. Oh, there we go. Sorry, I forgot to flick to that. So the address, I know SJ includes it in all of the communication that goes out about the awards, but it's bdaa.awardsplatform.com. If you need to ask anyone questions, you can email designawards@bdaa.com.au, and either Michael or Nicole or myself will pick up your email, or you can call. Happy to address anything. Shall I just, I'm not sure if I should stop here and just check if there's any questions at this point, because I'm not seeing questions as we go. Let me just.
Hi, Cara, it's Jen. There's just a few comments that are coming through on the chat box.
Yep.
But I don't know that there's any questions that need to be answered. So I think if you just keep going.
Okay, fantastic. Well, I'll just take out 5 minutes to open up the awards platform and do a really quick run through of where to find everything. So here we go. So this is your platform, and if you haven't got an account already, you'll need to register an account. And if you have got an account, then you'll be familiar with the login process. I'm going to use our test account from the beginning. Okay, you won't get a forbidden message. You'll come to this page, will be the first page that you see, and there's a great overview here of pretty much everything that I've run through, from your submission dates and deadlines, the changes that I've just talked through that are for this year, different to last year, your entry fees, and just your eligibility and entry requirements, which I've touched on. Something that gets asked every year is relating to entries that have been entered previously. So if you have entered a project in the national awards previously, you cannot enter that in the same category again this year. You can enter it in a different category. You can enter awards that have been entered into the chapter awards, or you can enter projects that have been entered into the chapter awards. I think all of the other things I've really kind of spoken to there. So then it's pretty easy. It's just a matter of starting your entry. If you've already started an entry, you'll find it down here. So I'll open that up. Now, before once you, this is the front page, and you need to enter in the category that you're going to enter. So you'll see all of the categories that are available to you here. I will enter a new residential project, and I'll call it. So you can change all of these details, I think, through the project, but it's just a project name. Once you save that first page, you'll be able to access all of the entry criteria. So you'll find that there's some general information up here, and all of these criteria are specific to the category that you're entered in. So you'll need to enter in your project details, so of the actual project. You'll still need to enter the floor meter space here, but there's no cost per square meter. Well, that's the total overall cost there. And then it's just a matter, I would recommend hitting save and next for all of these, or you can save and close, and if you need to return to the project later, but you can flick through these to start off. And you'll see on the side of each of the box, there is a description of the requirements of what you need to put into that section. Most of it's fairly straightforward. Do make sure you include a biography and media release information. That's really important if you are if your design does progress, because it is helpful for when they produce the Winning Design magazine, as well as for social promotion. So make sure you include it. You'll find a little bit more, the design details this is where you get a few more requirements. So you've got passive design. This will all be different depending on your project. So depending on the category, that you're entering in, there might be different specifics relevant to that category. But you can scroll through. Then if you've worked with any of the industry partners, do select them, and that will automatically enter you into an industry partner award for that particular partner. And then attachments, there's some information here. I would say please do read through it, particularly project images. So it's a minimum of 10, maximum of 20 digital images. It's got, if you can include external pictures and internal pictures as well. Using a professional photographer is recommended. It just showcases your project in the best possible light. So it does help. And then for the categories that would not have photographs, so student design, unbuilt work, please do feel free to add visualizations or montages or mood boards. Feel free to use your initiative on anything that would showcase and add a visual element for your project. You can add there. And then you've got your other attachments and supporting information. So this is particularly where you do need to remove your business name from your working drawings. And yeah, please make sure that you have included all of those criteria. And lastly, please add your image. So that's obviously not visible to the judging panel. If you have worked with any contributors, here's your opportunity to add their details. So do include those. And lastly, we just ask for permissions to use your project, I should say promote your work or share it via social media and publicly. And just if you make sure you've got your photographer's permission and any request to be acknowledged. That's pretty much it. So once you've worked through all of those, it's simply a matter of you can either preview your entry and it'll come up with a page that shows your information summarized. So I haven't added any information yet, so it's all blank. Or you can save and close your project and return to it at another time. or you can submit it, which once you hit submit, that will be where your billing details are requested. So please make sure you complete those. If you need to come back and add any documents, if you're missing anything, save and close, and it's just a matter of logging in again and selecting your project, and you can go to the relevant section. So it's all fairly self-explanatory and easy to use. It should be hopefully easy to use. And yeah, I would just say to anyone who's thinking about submitting an entry, create an account and log on and just have a scroll through and start getting your entry underway. Yeah, we love seeing, we look forward to receiving all the great projects that are going to be entered this year. If anyone has any questions, that pretty much wraps up the formalities of running through the awards this year.
Thanks, Cara. There are a couple of questions in the chat box, so just bear with me while I just work through them. Tommy, if an entry has already been awarded a chapter award, which likely has been published, how can the anonymity of the applicant entering the same project be ensured?
So it's actually, there are two separate judging panels for one. So any judges who are familiar with your award from the chapter awards will not be on the panel for the national awards, generally speaking. I think the panel even this year is going through a slightly different process. It can't be completely 100% vetted in terms of, if your project has been splashed all over social media. But when it comes down to it, judges are looking at a lot of awards and that have to have a pretty extreme familiarity with your project. It's more about removing names from the documentation, because that's what they're going to be looking at and where the association is going to be. So we do, aim to keep it as anonymous as possible, and it's generally pretty anonymous, I can say, from past years.
Okay, so the other thing we just need to remind everyone of is that the National Design Awards are for BDAA members only. If you're not a member of the BDAA, we're currently offering $100 off membership and waiving the $100 administration fee from full membership. So student members, full members and charter members are only people that are able to enter the design awards. Associate practice members need to upgrade to participate. I don't think there's any other questions there unless I'm missing anything.
No, I can see one from Andrew. If an entry is rejected before a judging process because it doesn't meet the criteria, is there feedback to the entrant? Usually if it's, there is a moderation process, and usually it's usually because it doesn't meet the criteria of that particular category. So yes, usually there is a suggestion as to where a better placed category for that award would be, for that entry would be, Andrew. But it's unlikely that it would be rejected unless it didn't meet criteria, in which case it would usually belong in a different category.
Okay, thank you, Cara. So are there any other questions before we move on?
Who are the judges this year?
There's a question here. Oh, sorry, you a question. Can the same entry be entered into Sydney Awards too? I'm assuming that is about chapter awards.
What was that? Sorry, Jennifer.
Question is, can the same entry be entered into Sydney Awards, which I'm assuming is a reference to chapter awards.
Yeah, so the New South Wales, the regional awards, I think, are currently closed though, but they will be announced Friday, if I'm not mistaken. And yes, those awards from chapter awards can be entered in the national awards, just not the other way around.
Okay. Did you have another question there that you saw?
I can see one that asks, who are the judges this year? I can't confirm that yet, Louise, but the panel this year will be an independent panel, and I haven't got any further information yet.
Okay, thank you. I think that will wrap everything up.
Welcome. Yeah, if anyone has any questions, just shoot through an email to the Design Awards email address, and we look forward to receiving all the great entries.
Yes, we look forward to seeing it all come together. Thanks, Cara.
All right. Thank you. See you then.
Bye. So that will wrap up the meeting for today. So there will be a QR code on the screen for your CPD point. So the next online chapter meeting will be Tuesday the 1st of June at 1 p.m. So keep an eye out for the registration email. We'll have Matt Press, the Director of Construct New South Wales, the Office of the New South Wales Building Commissioner, discussing changes to the regulations. So that will be an important one to join in with. So thank you very much to our presenters and those who contributed questions, and thank you to everyone for joining us. We look forward to seeing you at the next meeting in June. Bye for now.